Hi everybody, today I am going to show you how I normalize suppliers using a tool called Omniscope Classic. This is a file that's come from an Excel format, and all I've done is right click, open with, and selected Omniscope Classic, and this is how it looks when the data is imported. I only have one column, so that's why there's only one showing, but you could have multiple columns, but then you can select and hide them. So the first thing that I would do when I get a data set like this is I would add another column in. So do insert new field after this. I'll call it normalized supplier, and I'll do it with a Z for the American watchers. We've got that in. Stretch that out. So then the next thing I'm going to do is, as you can see, there's a mixture of upper and lowercase within this column. So I want everything in uppercase. It's much easier to spot mistakes or duplicates. So I am going to change this to a formula field, and I'm going to equals upper, and I'm going to choose supplier name. And when it goes green like this and blue, that means it's happy. So I can click OK. And here we go. I now have a list of uppercase. So the next thing I want to do is change that formula field to static values. So I'm just going to convert and erase everything. And then I can start to do my normalization. So personal preference here, but I like to do it in alphabetical order. What I'll normally do is have a scroll down and look for common companies that you might have several versions of. So if you can see here, we've got Adecco. So this one, Formation, is training, so I would keep that one separate. But these ones I would all normalize to Adecco, just like this. And I go through and do that. You can see we've got Allianz, we've got some different associations here. We've got a few Baker McKenzie's, so let's just do those while I'm here. And as you see, scroll down, you can see that a lot of companies, because they're from all over the world, have different letters after them. So GmbH is a really common one. We've got SLP, I've seen SA, SP0O, I'm sure you're familiar with all that. So what I want to do is get rid of all of these. So actually here we go, look, we've got loads of DHL here, so I'm just going to normalize that all to DHL. So I'm not going to go through every single one with you, but I'll choose a couple of examples that will you need to be a little bit wary of. So limited is the first one. So the first thing I'm going to do is in the normalized supplier column, I'm going to search for the word limited. And nothing's come up. I wonder why that is. Did I spell it wrong? There we go. There's a limited. So what I am trying to show you here is you might have companies with the word unlimited in their title, or limited might be part of the company name. So just be very careful when you're removing words like that. You have to be super careful. So the first thing I think I'll have a look at is GmbH. So let's see, GmbH. And for some reason, I know why. So another great tool of Omniscope here. I have a kind of, here's one I made earlier, column called Normalized Supplier. So I've been searching in the wrong one. So there you go, that's something you've learned. GmbH, here we go. So you can see there's different types of GmbH. So if I just did a quick search and replace right now on GmbH, it would take all of these out and then it would leave the and.co.kg. So what I want to do is get rid of all these types of formats first. So I'm just going to do search and replace, do that. Tells me it's replaced one, which isn't great. I'm going to do another one here. Search and replace. We got two that time. Let's do a couple more. So let's just do GmbH this time. So as you can see, 66 values replaced. Now, because I've got a filter on here in the corner, and I've changed some of the criteria, there's a little kind of dash here. So if I click that, it'll refresh, and it's now got rid of everything with GmbH in it. So that's great. So I'm going to reset that filter. So also things like anything that ends SA, S.A, S.L, you have to be really careful about, because there can also be companies that start with that. So if we choose this one to start with, just going to search in this column here. So we're looking in this case that there's none that start with that, but as you can see, there's some SLP, so I'm going to take those ones out first. Because there's only a couple, I'm just going to delete them. I don't need to do a search and replace. And then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do this, and it's going to tell me that there's 6 values replaced. Now I know from here that there's 8 in here, so that's fine. The thing you have to watch out, what I have to watch out for, is if this number was say 16 and I only had 8 on filter, that means it's taken away more than I can see, which is not a good thing. So I would have to undo at that point. So I've done that. And then you've also got issues with things like ink. So if I do ink, this is a small file, so it's not too bad. But you can do things like go for the full set here. And the good thing about the research and replace function on this is it recognises spaces. So if, say, I took the comma away here and just did ink dot, it would take those 3 values away and it would leave the comma, as you can see. So it's really good. But as I say, you have to be really careful, because you could have some inks within a name, or starts with a name, like inclusive, included. So you can't just write a script and hope for the best with this. You really do have to use your eyes and ears. So that's a little example of a very short step-by-step guide to what I do. And I'll go through and I will standardize and get rid of all these little bits and pieces and any dots and dashes that shouldn't be where they are. The other thing is watch out for things like Federal Express, because you've got FedEx, PwC and PricewaterhouseCoopers. So we've got a PwC there, but we also have a PricewaterhouseCoopers. So look out for all those kind of things. And then once that's been done, here's one I made earlier. So this is my normalized supplier column. So let's get rid of that other one. And as you can see, it's much cleaner. It looks a lot tidier. I haven't done everything in it, but I've done a lot, and it just looks a lot better, and it's easier to spot the things that do stick out. So the next thing I'm going to do is, in my top window pane here, I'm going to set up a table. And it's just mirrored what's here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to aggregate it by the normalized supplier name. Now I've got to make sure I do the right column here. And what this is going to show me is where I can find more opportunities to normalize. So for example, if you look at ACP SEM here, there's actually another 4 options. Now if I try to do anything in the top box, because it's aggregated, it won't let me edit it, so I have to do it down here. So that's why it's important to make sure that you've got your this column sorted in the same way that you've got your top column. So all I'm going to do is replace those and do that, and that's that done. And as you can see, there's some blank areas on this side, and what that means is that you've got more than one name against that option. So if I click on AAPM, you can see here there's a number of different variants of the AAPM. And what I've done is I've made an educated guess on some of the names here. So you can see there's quite a few chapters. They don't all mention AAPM, but based on what else is in this file, I would say it's safe to assume that that's the AAPM. So that's why those are there. So as you can see, I'm just going to scroll down, and then, we can see here's Air Product. So I'm just going to change that. We've got some Amazon here, Allianz, and as I go down I can see, oh, okay, there's some Apollonas. And this one, although it looks very similar, we've got a dot here, and actually we don't need the co.kg, so we're going to get rid of that and replace that with that. Oh, look, here's another AAPM. So what I can also do is, if there's more of those, I can then go to my normalized supplier, type AAPM, and just, oh, we've got a couple more, so we can make sure that they are all the same. And then if you can't get through your whole file in one day, rather than start from this beginning every time you come back to it, or note where you are in terms of where you are in the alphabet, if you know you've been through, say, half of your file, you can select all these items and you can click move. So it moves them away, it filters them out, knowing that you've been through those. Then you can continue when you come back and start again. So that's a really basic, quick run through of what I do with supplier or vendor normalization. If you'd like to know more about Omniscope, I'm going to put a link to the website in the comments below. If you want to try it, you can try it free for a month. If you put the classification guru in the comments when you sign up, that would be lovely. If you are trying it out and you've got any questions, please feel free to send me a message either on LinkedIn or email susan@theclassificationguru.com. If you'd like some training with your team, happy to do that as well. It's something that I've developed over the last few years, and while you can do a version of this in Excel, it is much harder. So this is the perfect tool for me. It makes me very efficient. I can probably do somewhere between 15 and 30,000 suppliers in a day. It really depends on the quality of the data, but that gives you an idea of how efficient it can be. So if you want to try it out, I would say give it a go. It's a month's free trial of the software. It can do so much more than this, but this is just a snippet. And as I say, well, I welcome any questions you might have. Thanks a lot.